Live from Lakeland, Florida. Welcome, race fans, one and all, back to Green Flag TV, where once again we get set to kick off another race here on Tuesday night. Welcome back to the Silverfox Racing Late Model Stock Championship and to the defunct USA International Speedway. My name is Ola Ramble alongside James Newton. We're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish here on this fantastic afternoon. James, it's going to be a wild show here this afternoon. USA International Speedway, of course, one of the very first tracks to iRacing, a track that all oval racers know and many racers love with those 14-degree banks. This track just barely survived long enough to be included onto the iRacing track roster before it was demolished in 2012.
Yeah, it definitely is a track that has a bit of interesting history. And we will be making some more history. Plenty of racing action on the way as well. Multiple heats. It is going to be a tough one just to get to the end into the A-main. That's what all of our competitors will want to be able to sink their teeth into by the end of this event.
Taking a look at the current point standings entering today, David Jakes still retains the top end of the scoring pylon. Jim Duda 15 points behind him, with Paul Witt still in the wings as well. Frank Hughes Jr. reinstated to race winner after a controversial move by Jared Duda last week, punted him out of the lead. Frank Hughes Jr. now sitting within 40 points of the top steps of the point standings here this afternoon. But at this point, David Jakes, with that opening win of the season at Richmond, has continued to maintain that lead ever since, and no one has been able to touch him since then.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely see if anybody is a match for Jakes today. Of course, Jakes not involved with the incident. As we have a look here at the Silverfox Racing Late Model Championship, the near future on the way. USA International this evening, Thompson Speedway, heading over to Kern Raceway later on in Stafford at the end of the month.
Plenty of action yet to be had here this afternoon as we will look to get this show up and on the road. Qualifying currently at the moment underway. It is expected to be only a 23-car roster in total, which means one driver will be sent packing. And right now, well, you're setting yourself up for a rematch from last week in Virginia, right, with Jared Duda and Frank Hughes Jr. up on the top of the boards.
Yeah, straight to the pace, no problem, as obviously drivers are very, very close on times. Get that with a very, very short lap. And of course, again, Nolan, we've got somebody who's going to try and make it through just into the show. We have two spots that get to sit around, eat some popcorn, watch some good racing, and then go straight to the A main. So there are some serious laps that need to be put down in order to, one, get yourself in the show, and two, see if you can not have to worry about any of these semifinals, quarterfinals, none of that business. Try to get straight to the main event.
Coburn at the moment is sitting 18th place as you're watching the driver, the number 17 for Wild Dish Motorsport Ventures, hightailing his way around with the number 17 Camaro. Third and final lap of this qualifying attempt, and it will not be enough to push himself further up the grid. Brad Slagle making his way around turn numbers 3 and 4 as he'll now cross our finish line, and he will get a little bit of improvement going for him. That'll punch him to the 16th place spot on the track. How about Paul Witt about to start his final trip around in qualifying this afternoon?
Here comes across the line. What is the score on the door? And that was way, way off there. So Paul in the 429, fourth position, so still within a tenth of the leaders.
Well, with him striking that outside wall, though, in turn 2, this lap will be invalidated, and he's instead going to bail out to pit road instead. Nearly smokes the barrels on the way in. David Jakes able to get himself within a tenth of a second of pole sitter Jared Duda. So with no other drivers on the track and all laps complete, it will be Jared Duda and David Jakes who will be moving their way on into the A main, scoring those qualifying points. Everyone else will have to race this one out in the 4 heats and the 2 B mains.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really good. Excited to see how the drivers take on the challenge. Again, you don't technically have to win one of the races, but you have to be at the sharp end. These are not long races. And you have to get there and hang in there if you're already up front, trying to fend off the rest of the competition. And it's going to be a long evening as we prepare for a handful of action-packed races on the way.
Coming up, it's going to be heat race number 1. We'll start it off with a group of 7. Starting on pole position, it's Mike Allen. He is alongside Daniel Wayne Valley. Daniel Valley, of course, made his Silver Fox Racing League debut just last week at South Boston Motorsports, the co-owner for Untamed Motorsports. Zachary Cox and John Holliday, meanwhile, will sit 3rd and 4th on the field. From there, it's Brockton Minier. He is alongside Jim Duda. And down the field, it's 3rd place qualifier Frank Hughes Jr. rounding out the field in the number 61 Pontiac. So the field is already making their way up and around here this afternoon, James, as we get set to get this show on the road. Before we do that, this race night brought to you by Kenzie's Auto Service. Auto Service, quality work for fair prices. If you live in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, call 260-422-9615 so they can keep you moving safely and reliably. Big or small, they will fix it all. So 10 laps, 3 drivers will advance to the main event. James, your thoughts as we get set to go racing for heat race number 1 of 4.
I'm watching Frank Hughes Jr. there, Nolan. I'm excited to see what kind of moves they'll be trying to pull in the early stages. The cement will basically settle very quickly, and making moves early on is going to be very important. We'll have to also see if they bunch up behind the leader or if they spread out a little bit. And again, they only have 10 laps to get this done.
Coming around turn numbers 3 and 4. It's a very it's a track with long straightaways, hard braking zones, and that's going to make this race a little bit of a doozy to kick off the afternoon. Pace truck is off and into pit road as it's time to get this show on the road. Green flag is out. We're underway for heat race number 1 this afternoon. And already Daniel Valley will be black flagged as he jumped the start and beat the pole sitter to the line.
78 there, not what they wanted to see, and obviously black flag. Again, execution is going to be extremely important, trying to make sure that you get these right, and the 29 is all out of shape here. Mike Allen trying to get a hold on there and already falls outside the top 3. You got to be in the top 3 to advance. The 29 with a little bit of a tail-happy late model on their hands, running that black, white, and red Kenzie's livery there, and look who it is there. Frank Hughes Jr. already up a handful of spots into 5th position. 2 more, and they are through as our pole sitter, John Holliday, falling back to 3rd.
And now Frank Hughes Jr. trying to battle with Holliday for the final transfer spot. Duda putting down fastest lap of the heat race so far. 2 down, 8 to go. Oh, Hughes trying for the inside. Holliday slammed the door shut, but he couldn't hold it on the bottom. This track, of course, no progressive banking, so it's a bottom lane heavy racetrack in the corners. A very point-and-shoot style of racetrack, which is something that these late models have a tendency to love.
Yeah, it really can be a lot of fun going to this type of track. Again, decent amount of straight line running. And there's not, as you said, no progression. 61 trying to almost use a little bit of the apron on the way in to 3. Pick up the race leader here again with that penalty looming over them. 61 now pops down low, and the battle for 3rd's on. There they go, up the track.
And oh boy, and big time into the pit barrels, up the track. Caution is out, collects the 72 of Brockton Minier. Zachary Cox, I believe, caught a big piece of that as well. A huge crash in just the opening heat race of the night, and a tough way to kick off the afternoon as well for the driver that took the win just 1 week ago. Take another look and let's see what happened. Holliday pulled the block. Frank wasn't having it as he centered to the inside, but it's really when he hits the pit barrels where all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it's go from bad to worse. So obviously we're sideways there. We lose a whole bunch of the contact patch and just straight up in the air. That is not a small fall. And of course, you can't see anything but baby blue from that vantage point. And again, of course, the 72, apologies, just getting collected there. You can see in real time. Yeah, there was already a slide heading down into 3. And the front end worked. The rear end couldn't quite work. And that was a dicey one going in. And it just got worse. And Nolan, we saw somebody trying, basically had a right front lockup, trying to stay off of those barrels coming into the pits at the end of qualifying. So we had a bit of a moment there, and yeah, there we go again. Straight up over, they basically rear end into us. Heavy, heavy contact.
And no kidding, absolutely massive piece of contact there for Frank Hughes Jr. Take one more look at this one before we get back to racing action, as Frank Hughes Jr. going to smoke the tires, and right there you see him ramp up off of that concrete, pitches the 61 car up into the air, and it's when he got hit by the 72 that it comes around, nearly goes up and over. He does get up on top of the number 72 entry before they both slam down. And look at Zachary Cox up top of the shot, as he's also going to slam back then front into the outside wall. Quite a bit of damage for Zachary Cox's 51 entry as well.
Yeah, the 72 saying that is not a parking zone, and very, very unfortunate. And actually, again, we kept saying that the cones were demolished. I'm not sure if the cones bought any of that there. It almost looked like a skateboarder going up the railing, and almost lucky to not flip over all the way there. My goodness, that was not what I was expecting at the end of that, to have a car basically flying. So that basically promotes the 70, let's see here, it promotes the 53 there of Jim Duda to the front, and Holiday able to kind of get away from that situation, will be on the outside.
Coming around turn numbers 3 and 4, with the caution laps not being counted in the B mains and the heats. We will restart this race with 5 laps to go and 5 in the books. Zachary Cox has just been disqualified, I believe, for connection issues. That was the same thing that happened last week to him. Daniel Valley still with that black flag looming over him. It'll be 4 to go next time by.
Brock and Minier all over Allen here. That third spot is the one. Oh, and my goodness. Goes around 2 again, right at the same spot. Not the same level of contact. And caution is back out. That did not take long at all. Drivers really, really tetchy in these. And I was going to say the final stages. We're only halfway through this one, Nolan.
Brock and Minier are getting caught up in that one as well. We'll restart with 4 to go in heat number 1. As we'll look at the 72, might have had some help, though, from behind. Daniel Valley, seeing the number 78 up on the top side. He wouldn't have been the one that got into him. It was Frank Hughes Jr. that tagged the 72, spun him around, and then caught the 78 for good measure.
The 61 has had an eventful race so far. A lot going on, having to check up here. The 72 trying to go down low, pile in the speed of 29, trying to stay nice and tight at the bottom. 29 able to get away. And Minier trying to check up a little bit. And the 61 of Hughes Jr. getting into the back and into the side there. This is getting relatively feisty here, Nolan. And we are still trying to get to the other side of halfway. Coming down to the wire.
4 laps to go when we return to green flag racing. Still with black flags looming over them is Daniel Valley. Now, of course, black flags do not work the same way in a heat race that they do in a main event. Obviously, by now, with him not serving that, he would have been disqualified a long time ago if this was your A main, but that is not the case. So all he can really do is just sit out there and hope for the best and hope that drivers take each other out. At the moment, 6 cars of 7 remain on the racetrack. Again, top 3 advance to the A main. Right now, the 3 drivers up front, John Holiday, Jim Duda, Mike Allen, all in a good spot. Frank Hughes Jr., I'm sure after having the race win, well, reinstated to him after last week's controversial finish at South Boston, would hate to start off the very next race by having to race his way into the main show from the B-mains.
Looking like that 61 is very, very quick, but trying to find a way by these drivers that know that there's only a handful of laps, right? They don't have to withstand the pressure for that long. It just has to be right here, right now. They can get this done. That's all that Holiday and Duda are thinking up at the front. As we are getting set to get this one back underway.
Pace truck pulls back down to the pit road, down to single file restarts with the proximity to the checkered flag in the heat. Green flag back in the air. We'll try it again. Still have 4 laps to go. Jim Duda already making a quick correction to the inside line, trying to make a move here on John Holiday, and make a move he shall. Jim Duda to the lead. Frank Hughes Jr. is looking for third.
Holiday getting out of that one nose, and again the 61 there, the left front. Hughes Jr. using the apron on the inside, trying to get it to hook with the approach into 3. Do they use it here as well? A little bit. Looks like Allen's going to be able to withstand that attack. No, they're going to be side by side here, and this is for the 3rd spot.
Final transfer spot up for grabs as Frank Hughes Jr. looking to pull clear from the inside line. No joy this time by. 2 laps to go in heat race number 1. Still have 3 heats to go. Jim Duda again resetting. Fastest lap of the race. Hughes is into 3rd, and right now, Brockton Minier trying to have a look down the inside of Mike Allen to no avail. White flag.
This is it here. Only 2 more meaningful braking zones. White flag in the air. 61 going to try to have a look on the exit, potentially trying to get underneath. Nothing doing there. Onto the back straight.
Final corners coming up. Holiday pulls the defensive line. Allen's not going to go for the bump and run. Off the final corner, Jim Duda with the race win. Behind, Allen gets turned. It's going to be Holiday, Hughes, Minier, and Mike Allen will slam the car into reverse to get it across the line. And that is that for heat race number 1. So Duda, Holiday, and Hughes, they make it into the main show. Minier, Allen, Valley, and Cox will have to race this one out in the B mains later on tonight. And James, you've got the grid for heat number 2.
Here we are. Put my hands together for this one. David Overstreet and the 46 machine out front. Gregory Coburn sharing the front row in the 17 machine. Got Josh Westendorf in the 92 alongside Brad Slagle on the 2nd row. 3rd row is Rick Sanchez with Dynamo Racing. Shane Klein for Untamed Motorsports in the 20. And the final contender will be Paul Witt in the 429.
So that is it then, as 7 more cars, again, top 3 from heat number 2 will make our way into the main show. Bit of a mess opening heat race of the night. 2 yellow flags really put us behind schedule here. This is a long track, right? I mean, long in comparison to how most late model tracks run. Do you reckon we're going to be getting a similar look at that today, or are we going to run this second heat out clean?
I think it depends on if you're in 3rd or 4th there, Nolan. Obviously, if you are right outside, you're going to want to try not to have any contact, but you really got to get these moves done. We saw that the top 3 that advanced, none of the top 3 that advanced were in the top 3 at the start of the race. So obviously, 46 out front, you got Overstreet, Coburn, and Westendorf occupying those top 3 spots at the moment. And the other race completely flipped on its head in more ways than one, as we saw. And so I expect this race to be no different.
1 more lap to go in this one, as we'll make our way back to the start-finish line. David Overstreet, of course, a driver who has made, so far, I believe, every single A-main of the race. Rick Sanchez back there in the number 5 spot, a past race winner in this season, and I'm sure he would love to get one more. Same story for Shane Klein as we make our way to the back straightaway.
Got my eye on Paul Witt as well in the 429 at the very back. May have the cleanest run into this first lap. Trying to set them up, be in good stead come the end of this 10-lapper. And of course, put it 4th overall in qualifying. So able to scoot on around quite quickly.
Coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4, green flag is out. We are once again underway for heat race number 2 on the afternoon. Top 3 will make it into the show as Overstreet pulling away early on for the lead in heat race number 2. Coburn around the top shelf. Westendorf trying to hunt down the inside. Rick Sanchez situated back and forth. Brad Slagle also battling, trying to maintain the top 5.
Westendorf, a little bit out of shape, tries to go back underneath Coburn. A lot more 2x2 action. A lot of side-by-side. Didn't see too much of this in the last race. And again, the 92 up the track a little bitty bit. Trying just to get this thing done. 17 persistent. Rick Sanchez trying to get involved. And of course, they are just outside the top 3.
Of course, David Overstreet loving this, right? He's now pulled it. Oh, almost a half-second advantage as around is going to go Gregory Coburn. That collects half the field in Heat 2. Sanchez collected up as well. So it'll be Overstreet, Westendorf, and Witt. They will be the top 3 and the drivers in the transfer spots as we hit caution number 1 in the second heat, third of the overall afternoon.
Nolan, I get the sense sometimes, and it probably won't work out every race, but sometimes being the last driver in line, you basically just don't get involved with other people's accidents and you make up a handful of spots. And sometimes, especially if you're only 7th, that may be all that they need come the end of the race. So here we go, 17 on the brakes way later, 92 still side by side, makes early contact, are unsettled by the transfer down to the apron, and then it's all just carnage. It's all just 2 cars back where the 20 trying to fight their way through. And Shane Klein trying to keep everything on the straight and narrow, wasn't able to.
Both Paul Witt and Brad Slagle doing a fantastic job to avoid the melee. Let's ride on board first with Brad Slagle. He had to scramble around the top side to escape disaster for the Wildish Motorsport Ventures entry. All right, let me just scoot my way up here and call it a day. Meanwhile, Paul Witt had to go down the inside.
Yeah, we're going to have the number 7 all over the front of our car. Here we go, and up, and oh, there we go, missed it. There we go. That's Paul Witt getting through there onto the transfer spot.
So we only got 2 full green flag laps in the books. Lap 3 is when the yellow came out, so we will restart this race with 7 to go. All 7 cars still on the racetrack.
Yes, all 7 competitors. Although, again, a majority of the field, mathematically, are unhappy with where they are at the moment in terms of trying to get through. You've got Overstreet still looking quite strong out front. 46 hasn't really had to have any kind of challenge, hasn't really had to change lines too much. Got a good start first time out. Let's see how this start goes. That may just be the key. Getting out front, getting a decent start, and nobody really has the time to get up to you if you're able to get that good gap. Of course, they're going to be scrapping quite hard here on this restart. And again, I think one of the most advantageous positions if you have a handful of laps might be 5th or 7th. So I'd be on the lookout for Coburn trying to come back through into the top 3, or Westendorf, who were both in the top 3 earlier on.
Pace truck is off. We'll once again enter the restart zone. David Overstreet leading the way. A late jump on that one, but the green flag back in the air as all 7 will tick their way officially onto lap number 4 of 10. So the field still with a lot of pace left in it. Side by side for the final transfer. Paul Witt trying to go around the outside of Brad Slagle to pick it off.
Really good start from the outside. That lane definitely getting the better jump overall. Slagle not in the best position here, it seems, as Witt hanging it around the outside. And now Rick Sanchez wants a piece of the action.
As well as that, Shane Klein just tried to have a look down the inside of David Overstreet for the Heat 2 lead. They decided against it, but you still have Klein looking to make a name for himself up on the top shelf as they dive it in. Overstreet's left the inside open. Shane Klein going to stick the nose in, trying to make something happen.
Side by side for the lead, not quite anymore there. Overstreet able to make that outside line work and trying to get that left front down to the bottom of the apron as the 7 goes around. Oh, and collects the 17 there. So the 17 into the back, Coburn in the back of Sanchez. And both basically out of meaningful contention at the moment. It stays green, unfortunately for them as well. Fortunately for Overstreet and Klein, as we continue to have the top 3 break away just a little bit.
No drama so far. 3 laps to go. Klein has the inside. He's going to dive for it. Down the inside of turn numbers 1 and 2. Overstreet way up to the top shelf. Here comes Paul Witt. Will Witt dare to make it 3 wide? It'd be a brave thing to do in the heat, especially when these guys have a 9/10 of a second advantage over the next closest car. They have no reason to fight it out with each other. Overstreet recognized that. He's going to drop back to third. 2 to go.
Yeah, Slagle's thinking, please just keep on going. Please just keep giving each other jabs into the stomach. And I think they may be settling in here. I'm not expecting Paul Witt to do anything heroic. I'm sure the 429 has it in them. And again, Paul Witt starting from the back and able just to kind of make their way up through. David Overstreet, the only person in the top 3 who actually lost any positions. And we are on to the final lap.
1 lap to go. Paul Witt trying to see if he can find something out Shane Klein, but I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about it. Coming into turn numbers 3 and 4, and that will do it. It's Klein, it's Witt, it's Overstreet into the main event. Everyone else will once again race this one out in the B mains. So once again, there are the results for heat race number 2 as we get set to roll immediately here into heat number 3 here, James.
Okay, heat 2 results here. After those 10 laps, we saw that Klein took it away. And now we'll have this heat number 3 here. Robert Emerald in the number 3 alongside Dale Rapp. Across the front row, second row is Anthony Lane, SFR Racing. Dominic Hughes in the 89 machine. Lines up P4, Jeff Clifton with Leviathan Motorsports in the number 15 machine. Joshua Highball, Silver Fox Racing in the 48, and Royce Valley bringing up the rear at the moment for Untamed Motorsports in the 47.
All right, so we're ready to get this show back on the road as Heat 3 will be out and rolling. Once again, all 7 drivers have made the call. Dominic Hughes, of course, the son of Frank Hughes Jr., making his debut to the Silver Fox Racing League just last week at South Boston Speedway. So Hughes wanted to see what he can do in trying to make his second A-main start.
Resplendent in the Hughes Garage Minion-based livery there. Quite a dramatic contrast to the 81 Kenzie's machine of Anthony Lane. Lining up P3. No clue how this one's going to go in terms of cautions here. Have to see how the drivers take on the start. Again, a lot more 2-wide action last time out in the second heat versus heat number 1. I'm curious which way this group will lean. And again, a handful of fast drivers in there as well.
Could honestly go either way. You never quite know with these heat races, especially at the bigger tracks like this one. The smaller tracks, it's actually a little bit more predictable, right? But these bigger tracks where the draft does have a little bit of a role to play down the straightaways right at the tail end, especially with these late models, it always keeps you on your toes. So we'll make our way into turn numbers 3 and 4, and we'll get this show back on the road. Coming out of turn 4, pace truck is off. Heat number 3 underway as we take off quickly down the front straightaway. All 7 make it to the line, and we have another race.
Up the track there for Joshua Highball, going high, trying to hang on to 4th position. Actually is all over the shop there as Dale Rapp under attack from Robert Amaral. They're still side by side for the lead. And the 89 of Dominic Hughes trying to come into the picture there. And again, you only need 3rd, but breathing room is never a bad thing as the 89 gets rear-ended by the 81.
And Royce Valley taking full advantage of that, makes up 3 spots in 1 corner. And now Dominic Hughes turned by Joshua Highbaugh into turn number 3. Caution out for the first time in the third heat, just 2 laps in. And boy, the 48 really sent the 81 for a ride.
The 48 had an incredibly difficult first lap. Just could not. The car was fighting them. It was just all over the place. It was other competitors. We're 3 wide. We're on the outside here. And it is just, we probably banged doors with maybe 2 or 3 cars on the way to this approach. And yeah, look at the rear end just jumps into the air, Nolan. That is not what you want to see.
Not a bad crash, all things considered. It could have been far worse. And you have to imagine that this is just a case of the 89 breaking earlier than he was expected. And I have to agree, that's a very early point for Dominic Hughes to be breaking out. I think he just got a bit unsettled given what had happened a few corners prior. Take another look at this one. This time right on board with Royce Valley, was able to pick up the final transfer spot. Because watch here as the 89 checks up with the 81, and he says, thank you very much.
Change in an instant. It's incredible how quickly these incidents can happen, and very little time to react as well with the size of, or I guess the speed of this track. Obviously the longer straightaways providing some good opportunities on the brakes, or not using the brakes if you've got a bit of margin. Slide it up in behind, but I've seen a handful of those go wrong. We are on our first caution for Heat 3.
Should get the 1-to-go signal this time by as Dale Rapp running what we believe to be a Mustang Fox body up there at the top end of the field. We'll look to lead this field back to the green flag. Robert Amaral up on the high side of the racetrack. And we will get the 1 to green. We'll double up and get ready to do it all over again.
The anticipation for these heats, having to do it right here, right now. There's not a lot of time, obviously, drivers needing just to get into the top 3. I say just, right? Like it's easy. It is anything but easy what these drivers are doing. And again, the nerves can really get to you. You know, I have 4 corners to get this right. I have 2 corners to get this right. It really comes down to trusting the guys around you and getting it done right at the death.
Green flag coming out this time by. We are back to it as racing action continues on into turn number 1. And we're all looking to go around the outside of Dale Rapp, but he's way high up the racetrack. He'll carry some speed off, but he gave up way too much ground to do anything with it.
Meanwhile, Dominic Hughes here throwing it into every corner. The 89 trying to win it right now here if they can. They know that there's not a lot of time, but the 89 is absolutely heck-bent on getting up to the top 3. Dale Rapp, fastest lap of the race for the 52 machine. And further back, 5th place, trying to scrap it out.
Single file as they cross the line. 6 to go. Dominic Hughes, the fastest car on track at the moment for the number 4 spot. And right now, a serious threat to Royce Valley and Robert Amaral, but he's also got to worry about Jeffrey Clifton. The Leviathan Motorsports, number 15, has been putting together some good performances, just hasn't been able to do what it takes to come out with an A-main win, but he has started in the A-main, I believe, every race so far this season, and he's not looking to give up that streak now.
Clifton's got a pretty good foothold on the inside of Hughes, and there's Amaral really having to check up. That's going to use the number 3 as a pick, and Hughes has to concede as Clifton up 2 spots now, and look where Clifton is, into 3rd position, right as you said it, Nolan.
That was very cheeky what Clifton did there. Saw that Amaral clapped the wall coming out of turn 2 and deliberately boxed Dominic Hughes in to force him to lift out of that attack. So Clifton still with a chance to be taken out here for third if Dominic Hughes gets back to him. We'll have to see what happens. 3 laps to go. They're also closing in for the race lead between Valley and Rapp.
I'd be interested to see what Clifton does here. I think Clifton may have the pace to get up to the back of the 47. But the trick is, as we saw, and again, a big shot there from Valley to Rapp. Rapp able to withstand that physical pressure. Speaking of physical pressure, Clifton has Hughes all over the back for that final position.
Fights on for first, fights also on for third. It's a 4-way scrap. Dale Rapp checks up out of turn number 2. Royce Valley into the lead of the race. And Dominic Hughes down the inside of Jeffrey Clifton. 1 lap to go, and Dale Rapp is in trouble.
Hughes trying to do the same move. Right back to Jeff Clifton using Dale Rapp, who was in the lead, now back to third, but that is all you need at the moment. The trick is, can you hang on to it? They're battling behind you, which is also perfect for the 52.
Valley will come out of the final corner. Royce Valley wins the heat. Dominic Hughes recovers to second. Dale Rapp will hold on to third, courtesy of Anthony Lane, who wanted to battle it out with Jeffrey Clifton. And I tell you what a battle right to the end, and what a good recovery driver Dominic Hughes goes from being turned backwards to being number 2 on the boards. That leaves 1 heat to go.
Yeah, definitely. And that 89 machine of Dominic Hughes, it says that they only made 2 spots in that race. I think they made about 8.
Sorry, correction on this one. We're going straight into the B mains here now, as this is B main number 1 with a 5-car field.
But we just saw Jeff Clifton there from Leviathan Motorsports, the 15. Going to be alongside Brockton Minier in the 72 on the front row, first and second. Josh Westendorf in the 92 alongside Daniel Wayne Valley in the 78 for Untamed Motorsport. And Joshua Highball, Silver Fox Racing in the 48. It's going to be at the end of this 5-car contest.
So we'll up the lap count to 15 now instead of 10, and we'll also take 1 more driver. So the top 4 from the first B-main of the night will advance, meaning one of these drivers, whoever finishes last, will be sent packing. And that, by the way, I believe will be the only driver who will not be making the main show.
What a stage. What a story here. So don't finish last is the name of the game. There's only 5 drivers, and they're all quick.
Working our way through 3 and 4. Still 1 lap to go before we get this show on the road. Like you said, a lot of quick drivers in the field, most notably Jeffrey Clifton. I would imagine Clifton going to make short work of Minier here and just take off with the B-main lead.
Be interested to see if there's anybody who can, quote-unquote, get away at the front here, considering that, well, I guess we do have 5 more laps. It's half again as long as the heats earlier on. But this really is a big moment here for the complexion of the evening. And again, just not finishing last is kind of an interesting way to approach a race.
Coming around 3 and 4, green flag in the air. We're underway for B-main number 1, with the top 4 making the show, and 1 driver on the outside looking in. Side by side for the lead as we hit the back straightaway. Clifton trying to take it early on.
Westendorf not involved just yet. Clifton trying to hang around the outside here. Didn't really have much of a choice considering they started on the outside. Clifton going to try to make this work. Haven't seen that happen too much unless there was traffic. I'd be interested to see if the 15 has what it takes to get around the 72. And of course, you don't have to win this one, but you just can't, quote unquote, lose it here, as now Westendorf getting involved. Highball getting around Daniel Valley. And they are all bunching up together, Nolan. They are on top of each other.
It's a closely packed together field. Daniel Valley struggling to maintain pace down to the tail end of this 5-car scrap. So it looks like it's going to be up between these 4 to see who's going to start where. Still side by side for first and second. There's single file for third on down. No one's been able to challenge the top 2.
I'm interested to see if Clifton, obviously trying to work that high side, maybe hoping for a mistake from Minier, but that's going to bring the 72 up into the side of the 15 if that happens. I feel like if the 15 had some space earlier on, they could have backed off, try to get underneath the 72 and try to get it done that way. But now that opportunity is gone because Westendorf and Highball are right there. There's no space for Clifton to try to work the inside.
Westendorf also trying to defend against Highball, who wants to go around him on the top side of the racetrack. Almost a full 5 laps complete in this one, and these guys have not been single file for the race lead since the drop of the green flag. 5 down, 10 to go, and it looks like they're just coming to the green to the start of the B main again.
I was just going to say that. It looks like we're doing the fastest formation you've ever seen at USA. This is fantastic racing. I'm just astonished that they're in formation as if they're trying to do this. It's Clifton and Minier, the Great Wall of USA Speedway here. And Westendorf and Highball will not, they refuse to go single file. Meanwhile, Daniel Valley looking for a way to pick anyone's pocket. Does not matter who it is, as long as they are 4th or above. And this is fascinating.
It's probably going to come his way when one of these drivers inevitably makes contact with another and washes up the racetrack at one of the corners here. They're getting a little bit closer, but so far they've been able to try to hold this one out amongst each other. Not for lack of trying, though. We're halfway home through B main number 1 on the afternoon, and so far it's been the cleanest race of the night so far.
It has been a clean race there. Again, Clifton really looking good on the back straight. Minier able to claw it all back in 3 and 4. Almost had a clear there. Let's see what kind of exit Clifton has. It's one of the worst for the 15. Gonna have to get all the way back up to the door, basically. And they are going nowhere. Meanwhile, Westendorf and Highball have been able to separate themselves from each other.
Oh, up the track goes Jeffrey Clifton as he washes wide. Daniel Valley, meanwhile, trying to launch an attack on Joshua Highball to punch him out of the final transfer spot into the main event. So Highball doing everything he can to maintain his run up on the top side of the racetrack. And no joy for the time being as everyone is trying to get this one up and sorted. Highball doing what he can to try to make this one work as up to the top shelf. Still no dice. And Daniel Valley looking to hop this one away, and Highball maintains the 4th place spot.
Highball making that middle line work pretty well. Good exits off. Valley having a little bit of issues out of 4 the last couple of laps. Highball with the fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, up at the front here, Jeff Clifton is uninterested in finishing in 2nd position. I'm sure that somebody's letting them know, hey, Jeff, you can get through in 2nd position. I don't think Jeff is interested in that here. It's the 15 still all over the back of Minier. And, oh, here we go. Maybe down to the inside. Nothing doing. A big old block there. And no, they're still fighting for the lead.
2 laps to go. This time by up the track. Clifton's into the outside wall. He's able to keep the speed up, though. So he's down, but he's certainly not out. 2 laps, just over a mile and a half to go in the first B-man of the night.
Really is some seriously exciting racing. It is very close to the end here. Again, the only moves that we have seen since the start have been Highball up into 4th position, Valley down to 5th. Fight for the lead still on, and the fight for the final position, that's really close at the back there. Valley, maybe he's underneath.
Into turn numbers 3 and 4, Clifton can't make the move. Brockton Minier will be taking home the win. Then it's Westendorf, Highball, and Valley, try as he may, will still be bottom of the barrel when we get to A-main action later on this afternoon. One more still left to be run here this afternoon from the USA International Speedway.
Here is the one more. Brad Slagle, Wildish Motorsport Ventures in the 96 up at the front. Mike Allen in the 29 alongside. And up the front row. Second row is going to be Anthony Lane. Rick Sanchez alongside in the Dynamo Racing number 7. Gregory Coburn ran quite well earlier on. Robert Emerald in 6th position, having a pretty rough time earlier on. These 6 will be contending for the final spots.
Now, keep in mind, because of Zachary Cox's earlier disqualification, no one is being eliminated from the B main. These guys are just racing to figure out who's going to start where in 15 laps time for the 100-lap A main.
So do you think that nobody will really care where they finish? I don't think that's going to be the case at all there. I think they're still going to be scrapping extremely hard. And the more work you're able to do here, the less quote-unquote work you have later on. Where you qualify isn't always where you... Oh, that was quite a close moment there between Allen and Slagle. Both trying to warm their tires towards each other. And let's see if we'll have any more of that to come once the green flag flies.
Coming into turn numbers 1 and 2 as we are getting ready to rumble here this afternoon on what is bound to be a stellar outing for this field. The 96 and the 29, as well as Anthony Lane in the 81 and Rick Sanchez up in that 7 car. Wanted to make this thing happen as we will cruise into turn numbers 3 and 4, 15 more laps, and we will know who will start where for that 100-lap A main. Green flag is back out.
Immediately they touch, they hold hands for a moment there. The 29 and the 96, Slagle and Allen. And we have a relatively similar start to this one. 29 sweeps around the outside on the back straight. And these drivers are pushing extremely hard. Yeah, really getting about as close as we've seen any of the drivers get. As now around the outside, Rick Sanchez trying to see what they can do. Looks like they may have the 96 cleared off of turn 2.
Cruising down into turn numbers 3 and 4 as Allen, Sanchez, Slagle, Lane, and Moore continue the battle of this one. Al, you also have the 81 and the 96 going side by side into turns 1 and 2. Brad Slagle up to the top shelf. Anthony Lane down on the inside line. No dice, at least for now, as they come around turn numbers 3 and 4. Contact. Slagle's up the track and nearly into the wall.
Coburn trying to see if they can get involved in this scrap between Lane and Slagle. We now have sub 22 second lap time there. Rick Sanchez, fastest lap of the race. And trying to chase down the leaders who have cleared out relatively, considering what we've seen for the battle for the lead earlier on in other heats. This is really quite a performance by Allen and Sanchez, being helped out by Lane and Slagle, battling so hard for third.
Lane and the 96 of Brad Slagle continue to battle this one out for the 4th place spot on the road. They're now a second and a half behind the top 2. Sorry, this is for the 3rd place spot on the road. Robert Amaral nowhere in sight as it stands. The top 2 still within the 10th and a half, but they're not wanting to battle.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to get through into a decent position. Maybe on their minds. Wow, very close clear there. The 81 moving up into the path of the 96. Perfectly judged. Slagle starting from 1st position. Try to take that spot back here from Anthony Lane. Looks like they're just kind of working their way about halfway through this one. I think the driver's just trying to settle in, trying to pick off the next car is kind of all that is in front of them. As we see Coburn again trying to make the 96 go on defense versus trying to allow them to attack up the Slagle. And Robert Emerald running about a quarter of a lap back behind this trio.
7 looking for 6 to go as Allen and Sanchez continuing to run first and second place. Anthony Delane, Brad Slagle, Gregory Coburn still also running third through fifth. Looking for 5 to go this time through. And as things run, it's looking to be a very, very clean run for a lot of drivers in the field, as yet again we're looking to get through the second B main yellow free.
I'll go ahead and say it. I think it's looking good so far, but then we pick up the Rick Sanchez, fastest car on the track. Bit of a high entry and a really unsettled middle of the corner, trying to roll the speed through. Now Mike Allen staying off of the wall. It's a very tippy-toe style of 1 and 2 there, and again off the wall, just trying to keep the draft off the 7, presumably, in the 29 Kenzie's machine. Red, white, and black being chased by the red, white, and blue.
Coming around turn numbers 1 and 2 to the back straightaway. Sanchez has the outside, looking to get around Mike Allen. He's pinching him in as they enter turn number 3, trying to keep Allen from tracking out to the wall, but it backfires on Sanchez, and Sanchez is forced to give the lead back now with 2 to go.
Allen is playing this perfectly. We saw how much of a handful the 7 was on the entry into 3, having to slow down, speed up, just trying to find that comfortable spot. 29 looking like they're on rails at the moment and know what they need to do to get the job done, it seems. Rick Sanchez with a large amount of speed, but it may not be enough.
Don't think it will be, as Allen will come around into turn numbers 3 and 4. Sanchez unable to get there. Allen will make his way out of the final corner. He wins the second B main. Sanchez second, lane third, Slagle for Coburn in fifth. And Robert Amaral will bring out the tail end of the field. So that is it then. Field is sorted, and we are ready to rumble for the 100-lap A main here this afternoon. It is time to get the main show officially on the road here this afternoon. Coming around, it's going to be Jared Duda. Started on pole position. He's alongside David Jakes in the number 1 spot on the field. From there, row 2, holding Jim Duda. He is alongside Shane Klein. Row number 3, how about Royce Valley alongside John Holliday, with row 4 containing Paul Witt and Dominic Hughes. Top 10 closed out by Frank Hughes Jr. and David Overstreet, with the top half of the field this afternoon. James rounded out by Dale Rapp and Brockton Minier.
All right, Brockton Minier there. Mike Allen, we just saw take it there. Jeff Clifton saw that they took one, 13th to 14th. '15th is Rick Sanchez. Joshua Westendorf in 16th position. Anthony Lane and Joshua Highball 17th and 18th. Brad Slagle in 19th position. Daniel Valley 20th and Gregory Coburn 21st.
So that is it then. It'll be only 21 cars here to kick off the show this afternoon. Once again, race in action tonight being brought to you by Kenzie's Auto Service. Call 260-422-9615. Whether your car is big or small, they'll make sure to keep you moving safely and reliably for fair prices and some quality work. Race in action set to kick off once again from the USA International Speedway. 100 laps in the books. Not the cleanest set of heats we've seen in the world in this championship so far here, James. I don't know if it bodes well for 100 laps of racing now.
I think that the mindset will most likely shift. Obviously, this is a completely different, this isn't even a heat. Obviously, we are really going for it now. We're going to have some different contenders in here as well. So drivers will be knowing that there is more to be had by being conservative and looking for opportunities as opposed to trying to, really crack the egg and get up into potentially, the top 3, the top 4. That style of racing, I think, may adjust. And I've been wrong once or twice on air, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But I would imagine that the drivers would know that they're, at least at the moment, since we haven't even gotten going, that there's plenty of time and that they'll be able to kind of adjust how they're doing across these long runs.
Happy as always to join us for Racing Action on a Tuesday afternoon as we're out of the final corner and we are underway for the 100-lap Bay Main in Lakeland, Florida. Jared Duda pulling clear early on as we hightail down the back straightaway into turn numbers 3 and 4. And just like that, Duda making short work of the field, punching his way into the lead of the race. 2 by, deeper in the pack between Paul Witt and Dominic Hughes. Sorry, that's Frank Hughes Jr.
Frank Hughes Jr. there, David Overstreet just ahead there. Paul Witt making up a spot. Trying to go down the inside here. 89 was fast earlier on. Dominic Hughes as, the 47's around. Royce Valley.
And so caution number 1 out early. Now the big difference, now the caution laps will count as we are in the A main. So we will keep this race advancing closer to the end no matter what. And based on the angle of that car, I wanted to bet he lost that one on power by himself.
Yeah, I could think based off of the tire marks you're able to see, very, very shallow off of the exits of the car. Just never stopped turning left. We'll catch a quick replay here. Heading on in. Let's see how it looks mid-corner as well, if we got any kind of apron. Don't think we did.
Oh, he did.
Oh, we did get some apron, didn't we?
Yeah, see that left front straddling the transition there, and that's what's going to send him around. Does a good job to at least lock it down and keep it out of the inside wall. Could have been worse.
And, of course, of all the races that you want to do that with, this may be the one because you have 97 to go and still plenty of time to make some moves, get back up and dust yourself off and keep on going.
So gearing up to do this all over again. Overall, the racing action tonight, when it goes green, it's been good, but it relies on it going green. At least this time, not anybody else's fault, as we'll try to get this show back on the road before too much longer.
Yeah, excited to see these cars start to pick a couple fights. See who's going to be pairing up, who's going to be making some moves.
Oh, yeah.
Looking back through the field as well, we saw Rick Sanchez making some decent moves, hunting the leader down at the end of that final B main. Paul Witt looking quite good as well. John Holliday took one away as well. Shane Klein looked very comfortable earlier on. Jim Duda did not look nearly as comfortable on that start. They are sharing row 2 at the moment, as they did once the green flag fell. And I'll be interested to see if Klein's got anything for the 053.
Well, the field will come back around to turn numbers 3 and 4. We'll try it again. Jared Duda still leading the way. David Jake still alongside him. Front row of the field. And green flag back out in the air as the A main is back underway. Oh, and another good getaway for Jakes and Duda at the head of the field. Jim Duda trying to chase after his son. Meanwhile, from behind, Dale Rapp a little crossed up. Exit of turn number 4. Nearly got to Westendorf.
Close battling throughout the pack here. This is the 46. Trying to get around the 15 of Clifton here. Overstreet. Trying to make their way through one of their heats. Didn't have the best of B mains earlier on. Clifton having quite a comfortable run of it, and now diving down the inside here of Muner.
And Brockton Minier under fire here as Clifton trying to work his way further up the grid. No dice this time through. Working our way towards the end of lap number 10 in just a few moments. Jared Duda continuing to lead the way up at the sharp end of this one.
Top 5. I was going to say the top 5. They're all almost perfectly laid out. They all have about a car length and a bit. As I say that, they all pile in, and now quite a hefty margin now between Jared Duda and Jake's trying to keep Jim off of their back there. And again, Klein, fastest car on track at the moment. Trying to get up to the back of the 053. It's like one of our closest battles up in the top 10.
Well, you got one as well between Joshua Highbaugh and Brad Slagle a little bit further down the field here. This is between the 48 and the 96. Although Highbaugh looking like he's going to pretty easily get clear this one up from the top shelf. So Slagle not able to challenge much with Highbaugh. He's right on board with the 96 now. Good ways behind some of the front runners. And after what was a very uncivilized set of heat races, I think would be the polite way to put it, it's looking to be relatively smooth sailing now.
Yeah, I think the drivers, again, they don't have to get anything done in the next 2 laps. I think that mentality has been taken off of their shoulders, but they do want to set up some good moves, and they do want to also stay out of trouble as well. And sometimes that just means trying to get around somebody that's going to be backing you off into other drivers, putting you on the defensive. So trying to dispatch, if you will, of some of the drivers that maybe aren't as comfortable as you in this early stage. But still, we're not even 15 laps. We're not even one B main into this A main event. And drivers again just trying to settle down, find that groove. And again, so many different lines to Nolan. You can come in high and get a late exit. You can really drive it up the racetrack, and if you can get it to stick, just run that as long as the tires will allow. We have a pretty fierce battle. That's a huge knocking the wall down from the 72. Brockton Minier.
Yeah, the problem with running the high line is because there's no progressive banking here, you got to really make sure you dime it off that corner well. You got to make your own form of progressive banking. If you don't do that, you see what happens there to Minier. Paul Witt and Frank Hughes Jr. fighting their way around John Holiday. Now Jeffrey Clifton wanted to see if he can have a go at the number 9. He thought about it down the inside, but Clifton's going to end up backing out.
Clifton trying to play the long game. Well, I say trying to play the long game, up 5 spots, more spots than anybody has moved up so far. So if this is conservative, Clifton is looking quite good for later on in this event. Have a good look at the sim shop number 9. John Holiday currently running in 8th. This really is fantastic track for overtaking. There seems to be plenty of space. These cars really are suited, as you said, Nolan, at the top of the show, really suited to this style of racing.
Well, that said, drivers still having a bit of work ahead of them. You got to really work to set up a pass here at USA International Speedway because of how one-lined it can be when you get that inside groove rubbered in, which it has been now after 3 heats and 2 B-mains. You got to really work on finding a different line. And when we say different line, right, we don't mean like top line versus inside line at a track like Iowa. We're talking about maybe an inch or 2 higher than the car in front to try to eke out just that little extra mile an hour to slowly chip away at the gap.
Yeah, and then give it a big old throw, big old send down the inside so you can just get to the quarter panel without getting onto their quarter panel. And speaking of quarter panels here, the 29, the 96, going hammer and tongs here. Brad Slagle falling victim to Mike Allen. Allen falling back 3 spots, trying to get back up to where they started.
And dropping through the field, and right behind them, Gregory Coburn going to take one away from Anthony Lane down the inside. Still making their way to the back straightaway. But the 17, he should be able to complete this pass eventually here. He's just got to work on like we talked about earlier, chipping away the gap. But look at already how much this has slowed them both down. Now he's clear, but he's lost almost half a second up to Brad Slagle.
Yeah, Royce Valley getting through. The other Valley getting through. I say the other. Daniel Valley in the 78. That's 3 spots there for the 81. And it can all happen so quickly. But as you said, the key word there for getting by somebody eventually. The amount of time it can take to get to the quarter, to the door, and get all the way through. See a fantastic shot, aerial shot here of USA International. Showing entire train of cars making their way through.
Showing a bit of the spread here from the field right at this point. You got almost half a lap between first and last place. I'd say about a third of the track now covered by the field as the pack continue to work themselves out. Already almost a full quarter distance into this one, and in fact we will be 1 quarter distance. 25 down, 75 to go. So still with more action yet to be had, and I think a lot of these drivers are settling in for the long haul.
One driver settling in, Jared Duda up at the front. Still seeing battling here on your screen, but Duda, meanwhile, 0.6 of a second. Well, I just said 0.6 of a second, and it's dipped down under for the first time in maybe the last 5-6 laps. As Jakes tries to respond, and Duda says, "No thanks, I'm all right. Thank you though, but you're not invited to the party up front." Yeah, I think David Jakes is gonna try to beat that door down anyway. But there's the gap from Duda to Jakes is the same as Jakes to Jim Duda in third. So the top 3 are spaced out by over half a second each.
Jared and Jim Duda, of course, father-son duo, both with 1 win apiece on the boards this season. Neither race, though, have we seen a double podium for the Duda family. It would be a big special day for them if they could pull that off. Single file racing continues to be the norm here on this one as Paul Webb, Frank Hughes Jr., John Holiday, and Jeffrey Clifton now scrapping it out for 6th through 9th. And a little further behind, some double file as Royce Valley got unsettled in 1 and 2.
Valley really getting close to the 29 there. And gets away with it there. Allen getting the hurry up. Yeah, that's about as close as I would like. Without being able to grit my teeth anymore here. And Brad Slagle kind of at the head of this particular train, about 5 cars or so. And the pack again, single file, as you mentioned there, Nolan running a different line, meaning just not running exactly in the wheel tracks. We're a little bit more shallow here, for example, on board the 92. Westendorf just outside top 10.
Dale Rapp.
Dale Rapp in the 52.
I think he really is being a bit of a cork in the bottle here, right? Because when you look at behind Rapp, you saw the gap from Rapp to that car, but look at how many cars are packed up in a train behind him. Makes you wonder, right, if Rapp isn't in the picture, how much more would these drivers be spreading out across the racetrack?
Yeah, it really is. There almost seem to be 2. There's a pack of 4 behind us and another pack of 4 behind them. And I think it's going to become a pack of 8, maybe 9, once all is said and done. And yet, Dale Rapp running in 12th position. The difference between 12th and 20th, potentially. Rapp is still at the head of all of those drivers. So, running a decent race, has the track position, isn't giving it up. And at this stage, again, we're at about the 2/3 mark. Or at the 1/3 mark, apologies. That is putting the 52 in good stead, considering they may not have the pace at this stage.
So far, there has only been 5 overtakes in the last 10, 15 laps or so. Showing once again just how difficult it can be to execute a move around the USA International Speedway. You know, the USA International Speedway, I think for a lot of drivers, is the Highball attempting something, and he is actually going to take away the spot from Westendorf. I'll get back to that in a moment as Westendorf all of a sudden dropping anchor here.
Yeah, tried to hang it around the outside, the 48 early on the brakes and drove plenty of speed through the middle of the corner there. And Rick Sanchez going to pick 14th from the 92. Westendorf trying to hang around the outside, losing all of that momentum. And again, this is almost like, it's almost like a train going by, right? You get offline where you have somebody dive down your inside after a good traction zone out of 2 or 4. All of a sudden, you don't just lose 1 spot, you lose 3, maybe 4 spots potentially, depending on the pack behind. And squabbling will only lead to other cars getting up behind you, which is never going to be helpful, especially if you are highball trying to get around the 52 of Dale Rapp we were speaking about earlier.
Kind of going back to the point, right? You know, USA International Raceway, it's got a love-hate relationship, I think, with the sim service here. A lot of drivers love this place as a result of, you know, the track. It's very easy to learn. It's one of the very first tracks that an iRacer experiences on the oval side of things. Heck, I got my 7th ever oval win on iRacing at this very venue. The first one coming from Lanier, the other, at the time, free track on iRacing. That said, a lot of drivers have a distaste for it because it can be very difficult to get a move done around here. You got to really hope on your opponents to make a mistake, miss the bottom, or kind of ship them out of the way. And quite a few drivers aren't a fan of the style of racing. They prefer the multi-group racing from a track like South Boston or Iowa.
Yeah, it is its own type of racing. I guess you could call that character if you want to look at it in a positive light. But again, there are some drivers that aren't quite as interested, let's say, in having to, as we have a cautions out.
And this one going to be for Gregory Coburn and Daniel Valley, tail end of the field. Second caution coming out just shy of the halfway mark. So well, and now we'll slow it down for the second time tonight.
Picking up a replay. See what's going on here. The 17 up into the 29, potentially. No, checks up from the 29, so it doesn't get into the 29 Kinsey's machine. And that's just going to be pinching 78 to the bottom of the track.
And now drivers coming down pit road as well here for service. Again, we were talking about this before, right? 2 sets of tires in the box. So, of course, if you're being almost halfway in, no surprise, see everybody coming down for fresh Hoosiers.
Interesting to see there at the front of the field. We have the top 4 that have not moved spots, and we had the last 3 or 4, so all the way down to about 8th place or so, Nolan, that had not moved more than 1 position. So basically they all came down pit road. They all turned in at the same time, just about. Kind of a strange sight to see.
Well, the field's going to be a bit jumbled up here because you got a very split decision in pit strategies here. You have both Dudas, Klein, Clifton, Rapp, as well as Joshua Highbaugh, Lane, and Allen. And I'm counting Daniel Valley as well. That's about half the field. They have only taken 2 right side tires. Everyone else took 4. First driver on a set of 4 tires, David Jakes, back in the 4th place spot. Paul White right behind him in 7th.
And Dale Rapp up in the mix as well, based on that strategy call. 52 right up in the mix. Of course, Clifton running so strongly earlier on in the heats. Interested to see if they've got that pants on fire mentality here with the lead about as close as the 15 has seen it all evening.
All right, we'll stack them up. We'll double them up. We'll get ready to go back to it. Interesting pit decision. I would have thought 4 tires would have been the call from everyone, considering you have more than enough time to get a set of 4 tires changed, even in a late model under yellow flag conditions. Evidently, some drivers disagreeing, though, going for right sides only. We'll see what this leads to on the restart.
Yeah, I think especially with this type of track, you're always looking for the grip, especially right now.
Coming out of turn 4, green flag back in the air. Racing action is underway once again with Angela Baymain checking up on the outside line. But everyone's able to hold it as we get down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Duda still leading the way. Jim Duda trying to link up with his son up front. Shane Klein trying to challenge back on the inside for the number 2 spot as we work our way out of turn numbers 1 and 2.
Duda 1 and 2 out front, and Shane Klein again still holds the fastest lap. Has been looking very, very strong. Meanwhile, Pandemonium in the back here. Overstreet and Slagle. Slagle making up a good amount of spots earlier on, but still struggling a little bit here. As now we've got multiple 2-wide battles here. Not able to work out their differences so far. High side for Rick Sanchez. They're going to get it done on the 47. Can he get it done on the 46?
Oh, and he got a shove.
Look at the 46 up the racetrack.
Overstreet got a shove from Valley into turn number 1. That stacks up everyone. They're able to keep it together. No one's going to go around. Now Jeffrey Clifton trying to attack Shane Klein for the number 3 spot. And so far, the 4-tire call from David Jakes is not helping him.
No, it is not. Shane Klein trying to get back on terms with the father and son duo out front. And that's got a big gap now between 16th back to around 18th or so is about a second and some change. They start to try to bunch up once again with more battling further on back. With the top 4 trying to break away here. Duda, Klein, and Clifton. They're slinging it in there, Nolan. They are loving these fresh tires.
Up front, it's youth and exuberance versus old age and treachery as Jim Duda trying to see if he can't run down his son Jared. Jared trying to see if he can outlast his old man behind. 2 generations racing it out for the race lead here at the USA International Speedway, and both looking for a double podium, but Shane Klein wanted to see if he can disrupt the family grudge match as he wanted to look for the inside of Jim Duda. Couldn't find the hole, though, into turn 1 last time by.
Jim might be thinking, hurry it up there, buddy. Get down the road. I got somebody behind me. The 20 trying to make this thing get so sideways on the approach to 3. I feel like it's way more so than 1. Have a look here at the rear of the 053. And it seems so much more composed. They seem like they have more of an exit. Here's the 47s down on pit road. That's Royce Valley. Disaster for them.
Interesting call to see what we'll have to see what happened to Royce Valley. I wonder if maybe this is a result of all of that checking up that he did in turn number 4. In fact, a drive-through penalty may be being served for him, possibly as a result of that shot that he gave to the shorts of the 46 as well. So taking that drive through, and now he's back out onto the rest of the field, except he's been black flagged because he had an unsafe pit exit, and I thought for a moment he was going to go into the pit barrels. Trouble behind, Paul Witt's around.
Highball involved in that. Highball there stuck, almost beached. All the drivers able to get back going, it looks like, unless there was somebody off of camera shot. And wow. Well, first of all, that was a really close call, trying to come into the pits late. Obviously, most likely trying to serve that penalty. But what a frantic moment here.
And this incident had nothing to do with what happened up front. This was completely unrelated, as it was Frank Hughes Jr., but he did not send Paul Witt around. Witt got into Dale Rapp, checked him up, then Frank sent the 429 around. Dominic Hughes does get a piece of it. Highball got hiked up on top of John Holiday. Anthony Lindbergh Sanchez made contact sliding through. Daniel Valley escapes, as does everyone else. And as you said, Joshua Highball struggling to find reverse gear.
Tons of action coming out of 4 there. I say action, not the way that the drivers want to be greeted on the exit. And wow, some close calls there. That could have been worse, but a majority of that was checking up and going into the back of the driver in front. And it can be so difficult to judge that, especially when things are happening so quickly on these short tracks.
Well, Racing Action still has a ways to go before we bring this one to a close this afternoon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take ourselves a step back. When we return, Racing Action continues on. You are watching the Silver Fox Racing, the Late Model Stock Championship on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Green Flag back in the air at USA International Speedway as Jared Duda and Jim Duda side by side into turn one. Jared opted for the high side. That's going to work out for him as he's able to pull clear of Jim Duda down on the inside. Now fighting with Jeffrey Clifton from Leviathan Motorsports.
Clifton having a really good opportunity around the outside. Goes a little bit wide again. Will they have any kind of overlap? No, they're cleared by Jim Duda.
Oh, hold on. Dominic Hughes sent for a ride in turn one. They're somehow able to gather up. They're still trying to find the purchase, though, as they head 3 wide down the back chute.
Minier almost getting 3 wide there. 89 able to right the ship, but with damage. As we're seeing Dale Rapp there, a little bit of connectivity issue. The 52 still up in the top 10 after that call on tires. And the 46 still in the game, as now we have Witt down the inside, and the 46 gets sent up the track.
David Overstreet doing everything he can to try to make this one work. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Clifton along with Shane Klein going to run this one out up front. The 20 and the 15 coming around third and fourth as Shane Klein going to try to take this one away, and he take it away he will. So the Dudas once again now clear by a half a second back to Shane Klein, but Klein was giving Jim Duda a real headache earlier. We'll see if it'll be a similar situation now.
Fantastic move by Klein in the 20 around the outside. Not the most popular move that we've seen by any stretch here, Nolan, as we closing in on the 2/3 mark. Again, a little bit of apron there for the 20. The 15's brought right back in it. We saw the 89 earlier getting a handful of apron on the way in. Does so again. Down the inside of Rapp. And clear, easy as to like.
Daniel Valley also making his way into pit road and pulling it to the garage. So we are down now to just 19 cars on the racetrack as Frank Hughes Jr. makes his way back out into the circuit, albeit now 4 laps down. So a lot of work ahead of him. 35 to go, looking for 34. Dale Rapp nearly getting fed a bumper full by John Holiday.
All this battling here, Holiday. 96 of Brad Slagle as well on the inside of 72, and they're side by side further back. It's allowing the top 5 to get away in a big way. David Jake's kind of out in no man's land at the moment, running in a very high P5, but very little company. Meanwhile, the top 4 separated by 1 second, and it is just a snake that is just getting more and more congested here as the race continues.
33 laps to go, and we continue to work our way further and further towards the end of this race. 32 now on the cards. John Holliday doing everything he can do to get this one up and sorted. Brockton Minier hot on his heels down in ninth. We also have Brad Slagle still running back in that number 10 spot as well. Looking to enter the final third of racing action this afternoon from the 100-lap A main. On what has so far been a thrilling night of racing once you got around all the cautions from the heats.
Seeing drivers like Rick Sanchez, who are looking so composed. Sanchez up 4 spots at the moment. Gregory Coburn right behind, up 9 for the 7 and 17. Really enjoying the groove here at USA International. And looking to try and make even more spots. Meanwhile, this group has attempted to clear off the top 4, separated by 9/10, and then it's 9/10 back to David Jakes in 5th, and then it's over 2 seconds back to Dominic Hughes in 6th at the beginning of that long train.
Still racing it out, 0.2 of a second now between Shane Klein and Jim Duda. So Jim Duda looking like he's in a little bit of trouble here. Klein almost to the back bumper. He wanted to feed him a bumper full. Wasn't going to do it that time, though. Under 30 to go. Klein's looking for the inside, and again, another shot to the shorts.
Close
and he slips up into the outside wall, spinning on the back straightaway, and backed up against the outside wall.
Everybody makes it through clear, looking for a gap in the traffic. Try to spin it around, light the rears up. And what a close call. Thought the 20 might go outside into turn 1 and just try to get underneath. Had to check up, almost went into the wall earlier on. Very close call there. One of the quickest cars on track.
And he is going to lose a lap as well from that. So going from fighting for second to being 1 lap down, a devastating error for the driver of the number 20. And I mean, you and I both saw what was the cause of this one, as a few drivers will come down pit road for fresh rubber, but we'll take another look at it again.
It's down low, a little bit over the apron, slides up all the speed in the world. The wall is coming. We really had to put the anchors on the 15. Not unsighted, but just trying to follow the 20. Again, one of the quickest cars on track in the Untamed machine. And the 15 just straight into the back of one of the top 4 cars. Give it a look here. And again, just right up the track.
And at that point, if you're Clifton, you got to just gas it and drive right through, right? I mean, I know it sucks, but if you stop, you're putting yourself at even greater risk of being hit from behind.
Yeah, the Constantina effect of just having another car behind you go into you. And just kind of handing the accident from one person to another. So, yeah, definitely a hard decision.
It'll be under 25 laps to go when we return to Green Flag Racing here. And I tell you what, James, it has been a show as we get set to do this one all over again.
There are some interesting contenders coming into play as well. Brad Slagle, Gregory Coburn, the 96 and 17 respectively, 4th and 6th. Both up 15 spots. Both on, I was going to say fresh tires there. They're both relatively fresh considering that they're all in the same tires as the leaders. I think that this will be very interesting to see how some of the new tires fare as we get set to get this one back underway.
Coming around turn numbers 3 and 4. 23 laps to go. Gonna be a hard-fought fight as Green Flag is back in the air. Few drivers looking for 3 wide deeper in the field. They're going to quickly get it back down to 2, though, as we make our way out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Look at Brockton Minier trying to push Brad Slagle up and out of the way for the number 3 spot.
Minier is pushing very, very hard. I'm not sure I've seen the 72 with so much gusto at the start here. And Slagle's not going to be held up by Sanchez, who is still in rears. This is the battle for 3rd position. This is getting extremely tight. It's still 2 wide, 4 and 5 back in the field. And this 3rd spot, I still don't think is over. I think Slagle still might have something for Brockton Minier over the next couple laps. And the 17 there, Gregory Coburn trying to get even more spots.
A lot of side-by-side deeper in the field as well. You see Jake side-by-side with the 17 of Coburn. There's also Westendorf, Highbaugh, Overstreet, and Holiday that are all trying to duke it out with one another as they scream into turn numbers 1 and 2. Dale Rapp trying to shut down Dominic Hughes at the pass, but and it looks like he will actually shut him down successfully.
And 89 basically having to go down to the apron and slow down just to avoid having any kind of contact turning into an accident. You pick up this 2x2 battle here. Again, once you're on the high side, if you're not intentionally out there, it seems like the freight train just goes down the inside there, Nolan. And you can lose so many spots. Gregory Coburn losing 3 spots in one move.
Oh,
as the 52 goes around out of 4.
And this will bring out another caution flag with only 18 laps to go, and that is pretty much exactly what happened to cause our first caution of the night earlier on, back on lap 3.
Yeah, I think with this one there's a little bit of contact, I believe, but this is still going to be, again, the tire marks relatively similar. And of course, no serious contact, it would seem, and the Dudas, 1st and 2nd still. Obviously, we have another 17 or so laps to go. A little bit less than that once we get this back up and rolling. But Nolan, they have a pretty commanding lead. They've also taken restarts as well, obviously sharing the front row. And this is looking very good. Now, the question is, Nolan, who goes first? If they are still looking as dominant now as they have been, who's it going to be between these 2 drivers across the day? If they're going to get a double podium, who's going to win it?
I think Jared, I mean, he's been up front all day long. He's looking for a little bit of a resurgence after being disqualified from last week's race, as you see Shane Klein getting one of his last back. But yeah, I think it's going to be Jared Duda on this one. He's got something to prove.
I'm excited to see if they're able to make a decision, if you will. Obviously, they're still competitors. They're still trying to race each other, but I couldn't imagine that anything would come to blows to the point where they would not be able to get across the line together. And it looks like Slagle is right on the back of Minier in the 72 for 3rd as well. So I think that it's going to be paired up, most likely. And you got Rick Sanchez in there as well. This is really going to get tricky here at the end. But I think, again, Jared and Jim running really good races so far.
Take a look at what's coming up here on Green Flag TV over the next few days. It's going to be the PSR Truck Series at Lime Rock Park on Wednesday. On Thursday, James, you're hopping over to the Windy City to go racing with the Castle Glass Company Series at the Chicago Street Circuit. Meanwhile, Speed Cup Series action kicking off their 7th season of competition at the Echo Park Speedway this Thursday night as well. Blaze Bell's Truck Series action heads to the Tricky Triangle out up in Pennsylvania at Pocono. And then the High Tide Racing also at Lime Rock Park for the first time in HTRL history on Monday. So a lot of fun races coming up.
Obviously looking forward to being in the booth with JP for Thursday. But that HTRL at Lime Rock, that is one that I don't think that anybody should miss. That's going to be quite exciting.
Coming around 3 and 4, it'll be 13 to go when we take the green flag. Both Dudas maintaining the lead. Jared up top, Jim on the bottom. Green flag back in the air. Race in action is underway. Jim Duda quickly pulls up in front of Brad Slagle, just shut off any kind of attempted attack going after his son. Meanwhile, Slagle having to defend against Brockton Minier. Also has Mike Allen. Rick Sanchez almost spins it out with David Jakes as they enter turn 1.
Has plenty of room to slide it up in behind the 29 there, but Sanchez trying to hang on to it. Meanwhile, they're all just piling in. They know there's less than a B main to go. We're coming up to 12. And meanwhile, third place is still not done. Minier's still all over the back of Slagle, or I should say maybe the other way around, as third place is not done yet. Further back, the number 9, John Holiday, Overstreet, has Westendorf on the outside. Apologies. Has Overstreet on the outside. They're really going for it here right at the end. You can tell that there's around 10 to go.
10 laps on the cards. Rick Sanchez trying to send one down the inside of Mike Allen. No joy for the number 7 entry. Behind him, David Jakes wanting to go around the outside. Paul Witt trying to keep the 42 behind him as well, to no avail as Sanchez checks up. That whole inside lane starting to stack up now. So anybody on the top side just got given a free spot or two.
I'm trying to see who that was that just got a handful of spots. I don't think anybody was able to move. Maybe Shane Klein might have been on the outside. Back in 15th position there, looking for a decent run. 429, Paul Witt still trying to get away from the 2x2 action a little further back. Oh, yeah, 48 around.
Big crash, run straight away. Overstreet hard into the inside wall along with Joshua Highball. No caution yet. Overstreet's going to reverse right onto the racetrack and force the yellow. Whether or not that's good sportsmanship, you be the judge. It absolutely should have been a caution, but it wasn't one, according to iRacing. Not until he backed it up right onto the circuit.
Yeah, not sure if that was any kind of intention behind that. I wouldn't be able to confirm that, but obviously, incident coming out of 4.
Started with Highball up the road as he had contact with Frank Hughes Jr. Spun him around, collected John Holiday, and Overstreet had nowhere to go.
We've seen both of those cars in the grass earlier today. The 48 in the grass earlier this event. Oh man, that was what a shot that was to the side of the 9.
No kidding.
That was a big moment.
One of the harder incidents for a crash that we have seen all night so far. As they both go sliding into the inside wall as well, right at the end of pit road.
And of course, the close call could have been even worse than this here. We'll see the 46 pick it up in reverse, backs it up. Yeah, probably about 1.25 of a late model on the outside, so able to squeeze on through, but talk about heart and mouth. And there was no option to go to the inside either.
So 5 laps to go, dangerously close to this race going into overtime. There is only one overtime attempt where we would add 2 laps onto the final scorecard. So far, while we have had to use overtime, we have not yet had any A-main finish under caution.
I think at the front, it's been fairly even when it comes to some of the pace. I think just that long run pace has just really been there for some drivers. There have been other drivers incredibly quick who've had to try to fight through the traffic. I say traffic, trying to fight through many battling cars. Obviously, battling slowing you down. And again, just getting stuck out on the high side. That's what got the 72 of Minier. Slagle in the 96 able to capitalize that, and obviously Slagle choosing the outside once again. Gonna try to hang it in there with the Doodaws, trying to ruin their Doodah day.
Coming around turn numbers 3 and 4. 3-lap dash to decide this race. Green flag back in the air as we hit the green flag once more. Jared Duda not clear into turn one. Jim Duda has the inside.
Here they come. How are they looking on the back straight? Where does the 053 go? Slots in behind. And back for third. It is, oh, they're banging. It's getting close here. The 96 around the outside here. Slagle trying to hang on to this one, but it looks like a refuse. We have another
and
yellow.
Overtime. It's the big one on the front straightaway. Multiple cars around. Paul Witt, Frank Hughes Jr. in the mix. So we will have our one overtime attempt of the afternoon.
If you're the 35, are you sweating it, Nolan? Is this something that they have in their pocket, or do you think they're sweating it?
I think he's sweating a little bit here, especially if the old man gets another good jump off the hitch. So coming out of turn number 4, right there, it was netcode between David Jakes and Paul Witt. Jakes got kicked up in the air. He spun around. Rapp got a big piece of that. That fires Rapp across the track right into the path of Shane Klein, who careens into the pit wall. Jeffrey Clifton just escapes down low. And Frank Hughes Jr. looking like locked it up, trying to avoid.
Clifton looked like he was trying to get into an elevator that was closing and just slipped in. Oh, the closest of margins. They've been racing like that all night. And how about the 61 putting on the anchors and basically doing like a reverse J-turn, locking the rears there to make sure they didn't go into the back? Good heads-up driving, kind of having to sacrifice their run just to make sure that there wasn't any severe contact. It could have been a T-bone coming through here. There's the smoke screen. We all go low. Just trying to stay out of it. Now we're on the grass. Ding. There we go. Made it through.
Only just, though.
Just.
So overtime attempt number 1 of only one. Our lone attempt. If we get one more yellow flag, this race ends under caution.
Father and son on the front row. Slagle's come from 16 spots. Our biggest mover is looking at the back of Jared Duda. Minier in the 72 and Allen in the 29 have both moved up 8 spots. Everybody in the top 8 have moved up 8 or more spots, with the exception of the Duda duo.
Coming around turn numbers 1 and 2. Jared Duda, Jim Duda, 1 and 2. Brockton Minier, Brad Slagle, 3 and 4. The father-son duo has been alive since the halfway mark. We'll see if they can get the job done with just 2 laps to go. Coming around 3 and 4. And James, for the final time today, green flag is out.
Big jump down the inside there. Jared's going to be hung out to dry. Jim fires it into 3, slides up the racetrack a little bit. They're still side by side. Minier's trying to have a really close look at this. Slagle is not going forward at all. Sanchez and Allen maybe scooping up 4th as we're on the final lap.
1 lap left to go, and it's still side by side. It's a family feud up front. Who takes it? Will it be youth and exuberance or old age and treachery? Jim Duda has got the inside. Jared Duda round the top side, coming out of turn number 4 to the stripe. Photo finish. Jim Duda takes out his son and wins his 2nd race of the season at the USA International Speedway.
Wow, wow, wow. Fantastic racing, fair racing, a side-by-side, not just a photo finish, an entire lap. Excellent, excellent finish. Double podium for the Dudas.
First double podium I think these two have gotten in Green Flag TV history, and they've been racing on the channel for years together. So to see them finally get the 1-2, I'm sure they're going to be very, very happy with that as Jim Duda burns it down on the defunct front straightaway of USA International Speedway. A stellar run. Take another look at the finish coming to the wire.
35's got the overspeed. The 35's on the way, but it just wasn't enough. He's to the door, and he almost gets to the front axle.
Like you said,
almost wasn't enough.
And like you said, by about half a car, Jim Duda is able to take the win over Jared Duda here this afternoon. A stellar outing for the field. And Jim Duda taking over the number 1 spot. Let's get a rundown of your official post-race results here on the afternoon, as it's going to be Jim and Jared, numbers 1 and 2 on the day. Brockton Minier will finish his race out in 3rd, with the likes of Brad Slagle in 4th, Rick Sanchez in 5th, Allen in 6th, Westendorf in 7th, Coburn, Hughes, and Overstreet round out 10 of the 18 cars to finish this race.
John Holliday in the 9, bringing it up in 11. Jeff Clifton ran so far up at the front, fell back to 12th. Dale Rapp in 13th. Paul Witt 14th. 15th is David Jakes. Shane Klein, unfortunately, back in 16th there. Anthony Lane in 17th. 18th is Frank Hughes Jr. 19th, Joshua Highball. And Daniel Wayne Valley in 20th.
And down there, Royce Valley, 21st spot to close things out here today. Did not make it to the halfway point. The only driver well, actually, he did make it to the halfway point, lap 54, what ended up being 106. Let's take a rundown and give a chat in here to the drivers that finished this race, numbers 1, 2, and 3 here on the afternoon. We'll look to start things off first and foremost with Jim Duda, the driver that comes home number 1 in the family feud. Jim, talk us through the afternoon, because that was a wild finish between you and your son after the two of you dominated over half of the main event today.
Oh boy, yeah, Jared dominated the whole race there. I don't know why. He liked the top for some odd reason, and I figured that last green-white checkered there, all I could do was just stay there and watch my mirror to make sure no one got up to us. But that last green-white checkered, I figured, man, I got to push it. That was my only chance, and I got it.
Kind of talk us through what changed from this final restart as opposed to the others, because I'm sure you were looking to go for it, especially with some of those later restarts.
Well, the main reason is, when we're in practice and in qualifying and stuff, Jared was on the radio saying, don't push it in the corner. Just don't get it in too hard. So I didn't want to get it in too hard, get loose, come up and take Jared and I both out. So I took it easy on the inside, just so that wouldn't happen.
Well, looking forward to the races coming on now. Next week, we swing to Thompson Motor Speedway, one of the modified capitals in North America. What's going to be the game plan when we swing out to a track that, unlike USA, really loves the top?
I haven't ran Thompson much. We'll get some practice in this week. I can't even think about. I don't even remember what the track is at this point in time. So I have no advice what we're going to do. I'll just have to run a couple laps this week over there and then come up with a game plan.
Sounds like a solid plan. Well, congratulations on the first father-son 1-2 on Green Flag TV, and we'll see you. Whenever see you next time out in Thompson next week.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife for watching. It's been an emotional 2 weeks for me. I was in the hospital. I had a stroke this last week, and very lucky to be here. So this is great.
Well, a solid consolation prize, at least, to end off what must have been a rough 2 weeks. Jim Duda coming home number 1 on the afternoon. And James, you've managed to catch up with the other half of the father-son 1-2. It's Jared in second.
Jared Duda, second place there, running first for the longest time. And they just kept giving you restart after restart. You were nailing it. And then we had a bit of a side-by-side for the last couple of laps there. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was very uneventful for me to start, and then at the end, it was kind of the first time I've been challenged all day, and yeah, it was a good battle at the end. I don't know what happened. It got a little tight across center, and yeah, he just was able to get off on the bottom a lot better than me. I'm kind of surprised. He kind of caught me off guard, and yeah, it wasn't handling that great in the last restart. So he got a good restart, like the last few I got on him, and he finally stuck it in there and gave me a couple fists, and we were able to race it out. But we ran each other clean, and yeah, he just got beat on the last few laps. So yeah, I led most of them. Definitely dominant car. It was fast. It was fun. But yeah, no, it was a good race.
The first father-son 1-2, not just a double podium, but the win as well for the 053. How does it feel to be a part of this father-son 1-2?
Well, now I got to hear about it for a while, so not that great. I kind of gave it away there at the end, but yeah, I wasn't really challenged all race. And once he got behind me in second, he was sticking with me. I do think if we just kept it green, I probably would have been able to keep the pace, but tires just come back here so good. Under caution, they cool off, and they're able to run some fast lap times again, and he was just able to execute a little better. Like I said, it got tight across center, and yeah, it just, when it turned, I'm going back and watching it, and the right front's leaving a stripe through 3 and 4. Like, I tried. I cranked some wheel into it, but yeah, he just was able to get off the bottom a lot better than I was.
Next time out, Thompson Speedway. How you feeling about that one?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was probably my last race the season. I got some other commitments coming up on Tuesday nights with work, travel, and everything. So that was probably my last one, so I'm glad we finished 1-2. And yeah, it was a good race for it to be the last one of the season for me.
Well, you weren't kidding. You are going to hear about that for a while, aren't you? Anybody you'd like to shout out or thank?
Yeah, shout out to the guys at Silver Fox. I personally think this league is a lot of fun. Like, yeah, it's hard racing, short track racing. People get into each other, but for the most part, these guys do a great job handling it with class and putting on good racing. And like, I've been through the field. I've been at the brunt end of it. I've been at the hitting end of it. Like I said, it's a great time. I really appreciate these guys letting me come and run with them. So shout out to them, and then shout out to the rest of the guys at the admin box team, and then especially my dad. He ran a good race. Happy to be out here racing with them. So yeah, just a little caught off guard. He wheeled it by me, and yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to hear about it. So hats off to him. It was really fun, and yeah, 1-2, first father-son to do 1-2, so that's cool. And him being able to get the win. Hopefully in the future we can trade it off, go 1-2, but I can get the win. But yeah, it just shows that we come out of fast camps. He's taught me everything I know, and I've learned a little bit along the way too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad to see that he was able to get the win and beat me for it. Yeah, shout out to him for running me clean too. I thought he was going to give me a door for it. So yeah, it was good. I had a great time.
We certainly enjoyed watching that. And again, congratulations on P2.
Yeah, thank you.
From there, we'll move on down to Brockton Minier coming home with his first podium of the season as well for Brockton. And I tell you what, a hard-fought race this afternoon for you, but you were able to do everything you needed to do to get the job done here in third place after starting in 12th. Talk us through the journey from the midfield all the way up to the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, on the initial start, I was a little nervous being on the outside because, as you guys saw all night, the bottom was just the lane to be in. But I just followed some guys up through, and then pit strategy helped a lot being there in the end.
Kind of talk us through the strategy calls tonight. Oftentimes we'll see drivers taking 2 sets of tires. You were among the group that only took 1, though. That ended up being the winning strategy. But were you ever worried that taking 2 sets of tires might have been the call to make after all?
I mean, I was a little nervous when half the field pitted that was in front of me, and I just stayed out there. Moved me up, and I was on the bottom, so I really was enjoying that. But my right front was worn out right there in the end, so 2 tires might have helped near the end, but other than that, it was good, I thought.
Well, we look forward to the races coming on up. Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park just around the corner in 7 days' time. What is going to be your plan when we swing out to one of the modified capitals?
Yeah, I'm just going to try to get some practice in with Untamed Motorsports this week and keep going one day at a time and try to figure out the track.
Sounds like a good plan to me. We'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing next time out. Congratulations on coming home number 3 here this afternoon for your first podium of the season.
Thank you.
Brockton Min, you're coming home 3rd place. And James, that brings our show tonight to a close. Plenty of action to be had tonight, and plenty more coming up a week from today.
Yeah, very, very exciting event. Some high stakes races early on. And we saw some very, very clean racing. We saw a couple incidents as well, as they spoke about all of the yellow flags that were allowing the tires to cool off, which gave them just that much more to play with later on in the race. And again, a father-son 1-2. I mean, talk about a storyline. Really, really cool to see that as well.
Don't forget to check out the PSR Truck Series when they will go racing in just a few days. In just a few hours at Lime Rock Park. And, of course, after that, the NASCAR Castle Class Kona Series hitting the Chicago Street Course. Also on Thursday, the Echo Park Speedway will host the return of the Highline Diecast Speed Cup Series on Thursday night. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflag.tv. Once again, my name is Minola Ramble alongside James Newton. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next time for more on Green Flag TV.